get into a different sector, different field, and we will start with the company Emco, that is a leading company in health nutrition. And I could say that probably each of us has tasted their products, and we are very happy to have Mr.
Z ničeho a kam se až do...
He will share with us how he began and to what point the company got to. Before I get to the point zero, let me say what had preceded. I studied foreign trade at the College of Economics. I started working in foreign trade company. I learned languages, and of course, after the revolution, I was just enthusiastic about the new situation. I wanted very much to do something. So for a couple of months, I thought about it, and in September 1990, I applied for a trade license, and by the end of October, I dismissed from the then job, and there was no way back for me. It was going for entrepreneurship. And before I start with my company, I would like to remind a sentence said by my predecessor that often ideas get to be overestimated. I can testify of that. I had my dreams, I had my expectations. Reality turned out to be very different. This is the then diary, where I used to take notes before I established the company. That was November 1990. On one side, on the right, I still thought about the name of the company, whether it would be with K or C in Emco, and eventually I decided for C, so that I had already international expansion in my plans. And this was my drafting the application for having a license. Without it, you couldn't make foreign exportations. I got the license in December, and since January, since I was a registered company owner, I began to act. Also, on the left side, you can see economic assumptions. That was a sort of a business plan. Spil, that was a wood saw company exporting wood to Germany. And when the director heard about my plan, he was very happy and said I would join in. I was very welcoming his idea, because it would be my account that would pass the money coming from foreign customers to our account, and it was an important benefit for our cash flow. There were other possibilities. We exported some cases, some crates and pallets, and down the page we can see textile machines and
Realita.
Revenues, big amounts, spare parts. However, we haven't exported any spare parts. Also, food imports, smaller amounts. That didn't work neither. That took a different turn, which was eventually a lucky one. What lesson can we take from that? It is that the idea is not the only thing you must do. You must take the first step. You take the first step because that gives you a chance to see what should be your direction, what should be the second step you will take. I said several times that being an entrepreneur, it's as walking through a wetland. You can see the opposite bank, you know your goal, but you do not know your itinerary. You take the first step on a dry piece of land in this wetland, and you must very carefully think about your second and third steps. More words about my diary. Here you can see numbers, figures, at the end of the first month of my company operations. This is surprising till today. In first month, we brought 5 Avia trucks of margarine. We sold the pants, trousers, to Bílá labuť department store. We also traded with oil. And after the first month, our commission was 59,000 crowns, which was quite a big march. You remember yourself that there are companies on the Czech market that have been running since 10 years. They have credits of 10 billions. Their economic result is still negative, but they still are optimistic about the future. You probably know what company I'm speaking about. So these figures were rather surprising then and also today to me. This is our offer 2 months later, 2 months after we were established as a company. We imported different kinds of margarine. We rented some warehouses. We had clients that were interested in taking capacities in our warehouse. We imported some yogurts from Germany. That is really surprising till today to me, how quickly this initial stage went. I think that timing is more significant than you may think for every startup, for every starting company. Today in Emco, when we prepare a new product, it takes us a year before launching the product on the market. We must solve different issues such as development of the product, technologies, packaging, shipping, everything. Times have changed. Speed may be your major competitive advantage. You should think in this way about all that. In 1991, there was a privatization campaign. Small shops were put for sales, so I thought it would be good to buy some of them. I bid on some of them in Prague. It went to nothing, but in Ostrava I did win in a bid on a shop. I had a loan arranged in the Czech saving bank. I phoned to my wife that she should go to the bank and sign the mortgage, the credit, with the guarantee of our family house. It was my wife's father that financed the building of the house, so she signed that, and our house became a guarantee. I was not very experienced. I didn't know the difference between borrowing 15 or 18 million crowns. That was the original of a letter through which 6 months later I asked the Czech saving bank to postpone my credit installments, that the company went to a bankruptcy and that were in a dire financial situation. I came with this application, with this demand to the Czech saving company, to the lady who served there, and I made one of the biggest mistakes. I told my wife, and that doubled the problem, because I had things to settle both in the Czech saving bank and those with my wife, who would clean our staircase while crying over the idea that we may lose the house. Engineer Shamalová got my letter in the Czech saving company, and she asked me to come immediately. And she said, if I send your letter further on, your credit, your loan will be made even more expensive, and you will definitely fail and go bankrupt. So I withdrew the letter, being very thankful to her. You can see that this is the original letter, so I took it back with me, and thanks to this step I could get some more credit and I could survive. The interest rate at that time went down from original 20%. Retail business helped us to survive this tragic moment. It was really such a deep crisis that I was not far away from ending my business 1 year and a half after I established it. Gradually, importing German products for muesli breakfast increased, and at a certain moment it seemed to me that I didn't like anymore these German titles, German names of the products, and also that I would like to have something of our own and compete with German products. And the director told me, okay, invent your brand and we will produce it for you. And that happened. So from Cornflakes Hane in 1994, we made our own packaging that was very much like the original packaging so that we wouldn't lose customers. And the original logo Hane was not appropriate anymore for it, so instead of Hane, we put Emco, and that was a famous start, launch of the company Emco in 1994. My wife by then had been employed in Emco for 3 years already. She began to work on different packagings, and that was the moment when the history of the Emco brand started. Another milestone happened 3 years later when already Czech companies produced for us. That was another basic change. And still, I was rather anxious how it would continue. The company Devo that produced the products for us, they had their own brand, but they produced more and more for us who were commercially more successful. And there was a risk they may stop the manufacturing business. So I looked for some other solutions. First, I tried to buy out a part of the company, Damco, but they refused it, the owner refused it. And at that time, Kaufland came into the Czech Republic, and I quickly understood they were not interested in products. They could import whatever products into this country. They were interested in producers, and therefore I decided we would produce muesli in Brno ourselves. We made it public, and a lady from the labor office contacted us, and I told her we would manufacture muesli in here. And she said, who would make the development? I said, you. So we chatted for a while, then I went to a shop. I bought just an ordinary gas oven with metal sheets, and I asked her to test different formulas. She did that, and step by step we bought bigger ovens, more specialized ovens, and this picture shows you the whole development. Packaging's changed. We keep working on them and looking for new ways, both in terms of packagings and products. In 2007, I bought this taller building you can see in the picture in Hrdli near Terezín. Before that, we had manufacturing facilities in Bohumín and Brno, but this location was closer to Prague, and therefore we transferred some production lines into there, and at one certain moment it was obvious we needed expansion, so we bought some more grounds and we started constructing a large producing hall for muesli with robots, with automated control of the production lines. So it went this way with the famous mountain of sheep in the back. The smaller hall is a gluten-free bar production, while in the other hall you may see mainly muesli production. The cost was 28 million crowns, and it was quite a risky step for us at the time. We had some loans from the banks, but the Czech Saving Bank managed to get some subsidy for our interests, and we paid just 1% interest rate for this amount of 150 million. So today interest rates are definitely very different. In 2020, we constructed a second manufacturing hall for muesli, taller and larger, with an additional production line for muesli, new machines, new investments. This loan hasn't been paid back yet, and still we have to expand further because our products are sold out. This time we concentrate on export because this is our drive now. In local consumption, in all chains, we have a bigger than 50% part, and we increase our sales hand in hand with the expansion of the market. While export gives you endless capabilities and opportunities worldwide. So this is our primary focus now. We are working on new projects, and the bigger hall in the back will be extended. We will buy new machines again in order to strengthen our possibilities to produce more. However, all money earned has been left with the company because our company is a family one, and as such we do not focus on this year's result. We are interested in knowing what will be our position in 5 years, in 10 years. That's why we build these expensive production halls. This last step will probably cost more than 400 million crowns, and we will get more loans for it, and we will struggle very intensively for the biggest deal in terms of having the best developers and best banking interest rates. So again, a challenging year ahead of us. Some pictures when speaking about muesli or bars. What are the products I've been speaking about? What brings us the biggest feeling of pride is are products that do not have any addition of sugar, that otherwise is the major problem of cereal products. This is vegetable syrup containing fibers that makes for this sweetening effect, and the product lines are just perfect. This is a picture 2 years old. We have different bars today, many different types of them, and again it's mainly for export that is mostly interested in them. We produced also many products under foreign brands, also porridges, and as I've mentioned, export is our driving force. We have 850 million crowns in export for this year. It looks promising. We get further and further. Since 10 years, we've been producing and exporting bars into Walmart, which is the biggest retail chain. This year's success is we started exporting into Hofer, which is a subsidiary of Aldi, into several countries.
So now we only need to acquire new machines to fulfill all the orders. The countries in blue are where we sell under the Emco brand. The brand is supported by promotion on social networks. There are influencers whom we've hired and who actually promote our products on social networks. So that's a way forward. In Morocco, we are one of the key players in the market. We've managed to reach this position, and obviously we try to be visible in the market and on social networks so that our clients can find the products easily. Special attention is paid to the ASEAN countries. There is about 100 million citizens in these countries, and we have clients over there and the business is growing. We try to do or use many different business lines. Japan, that's a very specific market. They are fanatic about quality. By the time that they had actually made the first order, they had come to see us 3 times to actually inspect the factories. But the supplies are growing. There is a widening range of products we supply to Japan, and our biggest client actually comes from Japan. Italy, Poland, the cheap Poland, as Czech people say, where we very easily sell our products. These are also our clients, but as you've seen, there are many other countries. How do we get to these markets? Well, there are different fairs. Januka in Germany, Ciel in Paris. In addition to that, we go to the Emirates, the US, fancy food, and step by step, we manage to convince the customers to give us a chance. And I think this is the way that seems to lead to success. You need to be persistent, come up with new and better products every year. So you need to attract the attention of your customers. It's not from one day to another, but once we get a customer, we're able to convince the client that they can stay with us. They can see that the products are good, they are easy to sell. Now, this chart has been prepared by my co-workers, and it shows that within 5 years we've managed to double the turnover. So that means that the profitability is in good shape. And yet, we have the same problem as other distributors. When you get a big business, you can sell, but I mean, sometimes it's more interesting for the company to build their own brand or branch in the country. It was the case with Corning, the bar. I was the one to actually distribute their products here, but then they realized it would be more interesting for them to actually establish a brand here. And as a result, I knew that was the end for me. And it was similar with other products. Again, we distributed products for Danone from France, and now they have their own branch here. Heinz, the ketchup, is leaving this year. But never mind. We increase our share of our own products, which account for 80 or 70% of our turnover. Export has limitless possibilities. So we do hope that our success will continue. Here in this picture, you can see our first product, that's the one on the right, and our latest product, that's the one on the left. So Martin will need to go from 100 to 1,000. I had the task to go from 0 to 100. Thank you very much. I really like the building that was there at the origin, and eventually there would be new buildings popping up. Let me paraphrase a question from the floor. How about the change in the logistics? You keep growing, your export activities keep growing. How about the logistics? Well, crazy. In the beginning, we were in charge of the logistics ourselves. We bought some trucks and so on. But for 20 years now, we've had a shipping company. So we don't store any products. Once we produce the stuff, we move it to the warehouse, and trucks come in and ship it to the different destinations. But just for the export activities or shipping activities, there is about 100 people. They need to ship about 150 containers which go across the sea, and boxes of products. So there's a lot of work involved. Now, if you transport goods to Japan, is it just one logistic company that you have, or are there several companies involved? Well, a range of colors, I'd say. Some customers, especially from the eastern countries, will come with their own trucks because they come cheaper. Then we have logistic companies that we hire. Then we have contracts with sea transportation companies. My question is, can you mention one thing that was important to you in the beginning? You were talking about your wife crying. Is there anything else but the support of the family that actually helped you to start? Well, there's a number of things I could talk about. The previous speaker said that ideas are overestimated, that what helps you is having a company structure, having great people. I know how important that is. The previous speaker said that there is a human turnover, but I'm very happy to say that in my business, there are still people who've been around for 20 years, and I can really rely on them, and that's what encourages me. There are many friends who work in my business, and 5 years ago, that's something I haven't said yet. 5 years ago, I handed over my share in the company as well as the management to my son. So he's got the majority share, and my daughters have minor shares. Another thing, one of the listeners has raised a question about the transfer of the business. How to do that to make the transfer smooth? Well, I had been thinking about that for years. I actually had to change my decision. We got 3 kids. My older daughter worked abroad. She was in charge of distribution to retail businesses. She was successful, but she started to meet a manager who supplied goods to us from abroad. Eventually, the whole business knew that they were dating, except for me. And eventually, she got married to this manager who is Greek. She lives in Greece. I got 2 grandchildren who live in Greece. And as a result, she simply cannot manage Emco here in the Czech Republic. So eventually, it turned out that we wouldn't divide the business into 3 different stakes. It was decided that Martin would get the majority stake, and my daughters got 2 minority shares and some money to kind of compensate for the difference. Since the beginning, you said many of the things have been going on in a different way than planned originally. Yeah, I wasn't expecting the importance of the groceries, and people were asking, how did you come up with that muesli product? And to tell you the truth, I didn't really know about the existence of muesli in the beginning. We had a leading position in breakfast cereals, and then Nestlé came in. It took them 6 years to get ahead of us. And how? How did they do that? Well, they simply decreased the prices to our level, and in each box they put a CD for kids, and also they made good promotion ads everywhere. So that's something you can't plan for in the beginning, but we could see that there was still a gap in the muesli segment, because here you can play around with the quality. Cornflakes will always be cornflakes, so you can't really get a chance in these segments. The one who is number 1 is the one who sells the cheapest products. So we focus on muesli and the related products, but I would have never thought we'd do it this way. Yeah, in the presentation, you showed the, let's say, non-traditional Czech businesses. Now, talking about your export activities, Malaysia, the Philippines, and others, how did you come up with the idea of exporting to these countries? Was it a result of an interesting offer? Were you addressed by anyone, or how did it all come about? Well, I showed you that we are in different markets, and that's how we attract our clients. But we have not determined, I mean, we don't want other distributors in countries where we've settled. So we have customers from all over the world, but it is a fact that oats, for example, are not grown all over the world. So for Asians, this is a completely new product, and that's where you have the opportunity. You could see in the picture that probably the only country in Europe we don't sell to is Germany, because, I mean, every other Czech person goes to Germany, but we don't sell there. But France, Spain, and all the other countries, these are our clients. Now, how about your marketing and changes in the traditional channels? Do you manage the marketing by yourself, or do you have someone else in Japan? No, we manage it ourselves. We have a lot of Emco marketing. Then we have other marketeers working with the imported and exported products. So they work with social networks, work in the specific markets. And we use a lot social networks, and it works well.
Marketing is being managed completely from the Czech Republic? Yes, it is. From the same office. Oh, I'm so sorry. We could we could talk more, but we are a bit compressed by time. So thank you very much for coming, for sharing with us your story, and for also sharing some tips and tricks over your career. Thank you very much to you for the invitation. It was a pleasure.